Cynthia Barginere is a member of the Carol Emmett Leadership Council and longtime mentor for Carol Emmett Fellows. She holds master's and doctoral degrees in nursing practice and has over 2 decades experience in healthcare leadership. Cynthia began her career at the University of Alabama Hospital, where she rose to become Chief Nursing Officer, but she's had significant leadership impact at other institutions, including the Institute for Healthcare Improvement as Chief Transformation Officer, at Rush University System for Health as Senior Vice President and Chief Transformation Officer, and now she's System Chief Operating Officer at UMass Memorial Health and President of UMass Memorial Health Community Entities. Welcome to the Treasure Hunt, Cynthia.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to be here, Doug. Good to see you.
It's just good to see you. I've enjoyed sitting with you in leadership council meetings over the years, and always find it's fun to talk with you, very stimulating. Now, you've kept the same executive assistant for over 20 years. That makes huge sense to me, but tell me how that has been helpful to your leadership.
Well, she and I started working together. She was actually working as customer service, patient experience leader in our organization, which means she is really, really good at problem solving and very, very patient with people, including me. And so we have gotten to know one another. We know each other's style. We work really, really well together. And, it's really important in these roles and moving from one organization to the next to have, a trusted ear that you can talk to and confide in, and be your authentic, transparent self as whenever you need to be, but also someone who can anticipate your needs because they know your style and they can kind of help to ease the transition. Even while she's transitioning herself, she has helped to ease my transitions. So. And she gets to know everyone in the organization because she's very much a people person, which also helps me with my transition. So, yes, she and I have been together for almost 20 years, and I don't think she's going anywhere, even if I tried.
That's a good thing.
Vice versa.
That's a good thing. Well, I've done consulting for many years on leadership. And, what I taught my interns and the people on my teams is that, yes, we'll have meetings with the big shots, but, the people who know what's really going on are the people sitting in the desks out front, or back in a corner. And if you're serious about helping an organization, you need to get to know them and make sure they love you. That's kind of key.
I also use her as a bellwether for people too, because it also matters how you treat the executive administrative staff, and it says a lot about people when you see how they treat your executive assistant, whether it's an interview candidate or a coworker. So she's really good. She's a good bellwether for that as well.
Well, you hear a lot of leaders when they get recognition say, well, it's really a team effort, but you don't see that many leaders who really kind of get how serious that is, as you have, and keep their teams close to them as they go through a variety of changes. I think it's impressive, and not everyone gets a chance to do that, but I think it really speaks to your sense of, in fact, one of the things I was really interested in your understanding of leadership. One of the phrases I've heard you use at a variety of occasions is servant leader. Can you talk a little bit about how that relates to your journey as a nursing leader in particular?
Well, I think, I believe that, our role is to care for others. As a nurse, we care for our patients. As a coworker, we care for one another. And when early in my career, I would say to my nursing team, love is a verb, and it's specific behaviors. It's how you make people feel when they engage with you. And no patient is ever coming into the hospital and saying, I wonder if that nurse knows how to start an IV. Or if I wonder if that nurse knows how to give me my medication. And that is an expectation. What they don't expect is to feel loved. And that's how you actually exceed their expectations. And I just feel like, if you are a servant, that love, that verb extends to your patients, it extends to your coworkers, it extends to your peers, extends to your bosses. And it is the behavior that you extend, and part of that is serving one another and making sure that people have what they need in order to do their best work. And so that's just always been a philosophy for me, that love is a verb, and servant leadership is one way to demonstrate that.
Yeah. Now, you've served in leadership at multiple health systems through the years. As you think back on your journey, how is your understanding of leadership and maybe some of the things that you have built into that, how's that changed over the years?
How's that changed over the years? I remember I looked at that question and I was like, how has my leadership changed? And I think about the fact that when I was a baby nurse manager and I used to talk to my nurses about love is a verb, and I still say that today. I want to know how much smarter I am today than I was back then, or how much has changed. I think, maybe one of the things that has changed over time is my understanding of how important it is to be clear about expectations, because that is also, a way of serving your team. And, I think at some point I may have thought, well, of course people know what's expected of them. Of course people know what I want them to do. I say it all the time. Of course they know. But I have learned that really having an accountability structure and being really clear about goals and expectations is really important. It's important to me as a way of keeping me on track and not losing focus. And it's important for your teams as a way to keep them on track and to make sure we're all aligned on what is necessary. When you write your nursing care plan, you always end it with as evidenced by, because there's evidence for your performance and what you expect from your patients. So when we write our goals, when I write my goals with my team, it always ends with as evidenced by, so that we're all clear what we are focused on and what the outcomes should be. And I think that it took me a little bit of time to get that clear and to make that a part of my operating model, just because I did end up in sometimes saying, how did we get so misaligned? How did you think I wanted you to go right and you went left? And I thought you were going to go left. So I think that has been an evolution for me, for sure.
Well, and I think, the thing that's interesting to me is that you're kind of describing how, as you get to be more senior, love looks different in its activities. But when you just have your one little team, if you're a charge nurse for one unit of an evening, then love's pretty direct. You can do it. You can make people feel safe mostly by your interactions with each one. But I think part of what you're showing us which is really important, that as you become responsible for multiple groups, so many divisions that you're responsible for this whole operation in so many ways, so much diversity and divergence within that, then creating safety for people because they know where they stand and what they need is a way of showing love. Do you think that's part of it, is learning different ways to show love when you have a bigger responsibility?
I think that is absolutely great. Doug, I hadn't thought of it that way, and that is a perfect analogy. Because as I say, it's a verb. It's action, and I do think it is only fair to people to be clear about what your expectations are. You can't expect people to read your mind. There is no device that helps people to read your mind. So if you're not clear, you can easily be headed in different directions. And so, yeah, I guess that is actually a great analogy.
Well, I wonder, I think, feel free. I wonder sometimes, I think especially for nurses who are part of the kind of American nursing culture at its best, the idea of a climate, of an environment, like the emotional environment, is something that you pay attention to from the beginning all the way through. And I think as I look, I've done leadership development and coaching with senior leaders for decades. But one of the things that I find it gets hard for a lot of people who are not nurses, let's put it that way, as they move into more senior roles, is to understand that their real impact is in creating a kind of an emotional environment for their organization. It's not just the tasks. But I kind of hear part of what you're saying. I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I'm kind of hearing you saying, no, this is a consistent piece. I've known that I have to create an emotional environment of acceptance and safety for people, no matter how many people I'm responsible for.
Yeah,
is that right or not?
I would agree with you, and I think it is an important element. People want to know who they work for. Like, they want to have some sense that they know you. And so it is harder to do the larger your group becomes. I remember when I used to talk to my nursing staff when I was at UAB, when they were, whenever I do town halls or I do orientation, I say, my biggest challenge is to have a personal relationship with 2,000 nurses. I mean, that's my goal, for people to actually know who I am, which means that I have to be visible and I have to be transparent and I have to be out there. And so that is still important to me. It's more difficult to do the larger your organization is, but you have to find those key people within your organization that can help you to understand the organization and can be kind of your ambassador for your goals, your values, what's important to you. And so I spend a lot of time talking to people, and I'll have meetings with people just to like, we're going to come together once a month just to talk about what's important to you. Even if we don't have an agenda, we're going to keep this time, because it can't always be transactional.
I love that. That's brilliantly put. The focus on tasks make people too busy, too fast, and not very helpful. The focus on relationships makes a difference, because you have actually the strength to do what you need to do. I think you said that beautifully. Women of color are still vastly underrepresented in healthcare leadership. Do you feel like there are hopeful signs in the work toward parity that you can point to? This is a tough time. This moment in history is kind of a tough time, so that's why I'm asking you now.
So I will say that I don't know how to answer that, except to say that I try to do my own part. So I will tell you, when I was at Rush, we had a small group of leaders within the healthcare organization that were African American women. And we knew there were other African American women within the organization that were mid-careers, who were looking for someone. I mean, it's easy to look and say, oh, well, Cynthia did it, maybe I can do it. It's a whole nother thing for Cynthia to sit down with you and say, this is how I did it. What are you struggling with? Maybe I can help you with the things that you're struggling with. And so we started bringing, one by one, women together to have these informal conversations. And then we brought the Black mid-career men into the fold and started having a conversation. And then we created a little village that we called the Paula Brown Village Mentoring Group. And before COVID, we were coming together on a pretty regular basis in person. And then after COVID, we started doing it via Zoom. And we still have a really strong core group of people, and we have a core group of mentors who come together with us to give encouragement, to give support, to give advice, just to be an ear for these really brilliant leaders that just want to have access. And so I can say that there are brilliant leaders out there at the mid-career level that are really looking for someone to support them. It's one of the reasons I do the Carol Emmett mentoring, and I love it. And I will continue to look for opportunities to mentor people, mentor anyone who is interested in growing and developing, but in particular, Black women and men who really are looking for someone who can say, yeah, I understand. I understand what you're going through. I understand what that challenge is. Let's talk about how you might be able to overcome those challenges in order to get to be able to do what you want to do, to be able to lead in the way that you want to lead.
Yeah. Well, I could see that. I mean, I do think anyone who feels excluded in some way or different, having a sufficient confidence to put yourself out, to keep stepping up, when you do get overlooked, if you're not what the mainstream is. I think we've built the Carol Emmett Fellowship year on that as one of our principles, that if we want to see people advancing, they have to have a sense that they are in a safe fold, I guess I should put it. It's kind of consistent with what you were saying about your leadership overall. I thought that was really important.
Sometimes you just want to crumble in order to pull yourself back up, right? And
Good
when
point.
you want to crumble, you want to be someplace safe that, it's not going to be held against you later. Nobody's going to come back and say, well, I don't know if you can do this because that time you crumbled, So
that's right.
You just need a safe space to be, to feel all of that, but then to get right back in there.
Yeah, that's good. I that really speaks to me. When I feel like I really need to melt, I want to make sure I have a friend with a mop.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I'm doing without, and it's not that much fun. You mentioned mentoring the Carol Emmett Fellows. What are the things? How's that benefited you? I know from the fellows how grateful they are and how much you've really benefited some of our fellows. But what do you get out of this?
Oh, I learned something from every one of the fellows that I work with. I mean, they are brilliant women. And so they are doing amazing things. They have their own approach to the work and the world. And so I learned something every time I work with one of them. And so to me, it's a give and take. It's a give and take. And of course, for me personally, I feel completely fortunate that I have found so many mentors throughout my career. I've had people who will say, you should try this, when I didn't even think that I had the skills to try that. And so being able to give back in that way and to be able to help people to seize, a light that they had not really paid attention to, also that gives me a lot of satisfaction. So both of those things.
Oh, that's great. Well, you've made a huge impact for us, and I know our whole community is grateful for what you contribute. And you bring a wealth of experience. I have to say, the wide range of experiences and different systems that you have experienced is really helpful so that people can have a little broader picture of that. I understand, on a more personal note, that you've seen the musical Hamilton more than once. I'm guessing you love theater. But what about Hamilton really grabs you?
So, it's such a good question, because I've seen that multiple times. I've seen a few multiple times. Probably Hamilton and Wicked, I've seen both of them more times than just about anything else. But the thing about Hamilton is that it is relatable today. the political environment, the personalities, the leadership lessons. I love George Washington in that play because he is the ultimate leader, and he has all these complex personalities, big egos that he's trying to deal with, and he does it brilliantly. So, there's leadership lessons there. There's the emotion. I literally cry every time his son dies. I hope that's not a spoiler alert for anybody who.
By now, that's their fault. That's their problem, not yours.
But I cry every time I see it.
I hear you.
So the emotion that they are able to elicit. And then I love the music because a lot of people say, I love the rap music, but it's every type of music. It's every genre of music that he has melded there to create something beautiful that I also love because I love music. It has everything.
It does. But I have to say, that's the first thing I really became aware of Lin-Manuel Miranda was with Hamilton. But boy, that opened up a world to see all the other things that, of course, he's done, City Heights and some other things. Just remarkable. And really a whole world to open up, I think, in theater that has been needed. So I really like that a lot. Yeah. Cynthia, you do a lot of interviews. I've seen you on stage. You have lots of opportunities where people ask you a lot of questions. I'm just curious, is there something you wish people would ask you about that you never get to talk about in interviews? Let's talk about that. Anything of interest to you that hasn't come up recently?
Well, you asked me about my theater interest, which is really interesting because, nobody ever, whenever anybody asks me about my hobbies, I always say, I don't really have any hobbies.
Who has time, right?
But I think, my boss and I were talking about this the other day, and he said, well, theater is a hobby, it's kind of a hobby. What people would ask me, what I wish people would ask me, I don't know, if you want to get me talking for a really long time, ask me about my kids. I could talk all day about my sons who are 18 months apart, and they live in Los Angeles. They have lived together for the last 12 years up until a couple of months ago. They have similar interests. They make music together. They do entertainment things together. And it's just one of my proudest moments because they love each other. They take care of each other. And that has just always been my dream.
Yeah.
And so nobody ever asked me about my kids.
Do you get to see them much? You're on the other side. You're on the other side of this platter.
Yeah, but we usually see each other 2 or 3 times a year. So,
that's nice.
Yeah,
that's
so
really good.
It is nice. They're supposed to come for Thanksgiving, so that'll be nice.
Oh, that'll be fun. That'll be good.
Yeah,
well,
I don't have anything else interesting about me.
Well, I can't really allow people to lie in that way, but nonetheless, I do know that you've demonstrated excellence in leadership in healthcare, making a difference for people, for the people who work for you, for your patients, for communities that you're involved with. UMass has really done a lot in terms of partnering with community organizations and trying to make a difference beyond what's happening in a hospital. And I think as you're responsible for community entities, at UMass, that should be a whole nother interview for us when we get some time, because we'd love to hear more about that.
It's been a great transition for me. UMass is the values that they have are so aligned with my own, and it's a great place and a great place for me right now. So I'm loving it.
Well, it's a flagship health system in our country, and they're lucky to have your leadership. Well, and we've been lucky, Cynthia, to have you here in the studio today. So thank you so much for spending this time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too, Doug. Good to see you.
Bye now.